Hello, my name is Kathleen Chiras, and today we will have the pleasure of interviewing one of the top agents of Buyer Agent Search, Jackie Mahalchuk. Jackie is a buyer's agent with 23 years of experience. She is the broker owner of a real estate company in Loveland, Colorado. And Loveland is a small town just north of Denver. Jackie is Graduate of Realtor Institute, which is a credential that is earned by less than 5% of realtors. She is rated as a 10 plus broker in our list of top buyers agents. A 10 plus rating means that since 2017, she has been rated over and over again with a perfect 10 out of 10 points by real estate buyers and sellers. Her approach to business is simple, but to the point. I believe in transparency and communication. I pledge to educate my clients as well as be their professional advocate. I love what I do, and I love helping others realize their real estate dreams. I take it you must know the Loveland, Colorado, and Northern Colorado. We call it NoCo. Inside out. Can you tell us something interesting or unique about living there?
Well, thank you, Kathleen, for having me here. Yeah, Loveland is a very unique little town, I think. Many people may not know that Loveland is the home of a Valentine remailing program. It started in, I believe, 1947, and it's been going strong ever since. The town has really engulfed that whole Valentine spirit. They sell lovely little hearts throughout town during the Valentine season, where you can purchase a Valentine for your loved one and they hang them up on the telephone pole. So that's kind of cute. They also have a Miss Valentine pageant where she's the speaker for the town during that season, and it's just really cute. They do about 160,000 cards a year that's coming from all over the country. It's pretty crazy. The other thing that people maybe aren't really aware of is that it's a really big art community. From many different sculptors live here, and there's a lot of foundries. Our community, what is it? The High Plains Art Council, they have really put together an amazing Sculpture in a Park show, and that's every year in August. It's an outdoor sculpture show. It's a huge attendance. Throughout the community as a whole, there's over 145 pieces of art, be it sculptures, utility boxes, just you name it, it's spread out around the whole community. So we're a really pretty eclectic town.
I know also, Jackie, that you service for real estate the areas north of there, like Fort Collins, and south of there. So a person that would buy a home with you would be able to work with you in a pretty broad area around there. Can you tell a little bit about that, and then also just let us know what the median price might be of a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home in your area?
Absolutely. First off, Loveland is a small town, but it's actually growing and it's fairly big. I moved here in 1993, and it was approximately 37,000 was the population. And right now we're guesstimating that the population is around 77,000, close to 78,000. So it's really not so small, but it's also got a small town heart. As for real estate and the price of a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home, we're probably, the median price is right around $360,000, which like you had mentioned, being in the Front Range in the northern Colorado area, Fort Collins sits to the north of us, and we're about 30,000 less than the Fort Collins median price for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And then the little town of Berthoud, which is growing because now it's got its own PGA golf course, is getting to be well known. That community we're about 47,000 lower than that community. I really believe that Loveland is underestimated for its growth and its value. We've been growing for the last 20 years, and like you could see, from 37,000 to 77,000 population, we've expanded quite a bit. They've been very methodical in how they're expanding. We're not focusing on one plain corridor. We have many different arteries that run through our town, which helps kind of divide up that traffic. The biggest area that we've been focusing on is the I-25 corridor, which brings a lot of people to the area because of our new medical center of the Rockies Hospital. It's a flight for life hospital, as well as a great cardiac hospital. But it's brought in a lot of medical professionals and a lot of other people moving to the area because of that. So prices, they steadily have been inclining. They haven't gone drastically up or drastically down, which is nice to see. So the last 5 years, we've had a nice, slow, steady incline.
That sounds great. So it sounds to me like you are in a position geographically where if somebody had a job in Fort Collins, or if they had a job in Denver and they wanted to be somewhere in the middle there, or even in Fort Collins or the northern part of Denver, that you would be able to help them find a house. Is that correct?
Absolutely. The communities around here are fairly close together, but there's multiple, like Greeley, Windsor, Johnstown, everything that's along that I-25 corridor, basically from Cheyenne up to the Longmont Boulder area, is where I'd like to service. And we're all it's close enough to get to very conveniently, and I think that's important.
Say I've decided, yes, I do want to move to Colorado and to this area. What would I, as a potential buyer, do to prepare for a move there?
Well, I really believe it's important to reach out and talk to a few local professionals. And I say a few because I really believe that communication is your number one focus. If you're relocating or coming from another place within the state even, you need to connect with an agent that knows the area, knows what the market, the pace of the market, and is able to educate you on the process. So first off is just reaching out and finding an agent to connect with. Then I really think you need to be asking some good questions. You need to not only get along with the agent, you need to make sure that the agent is aware of the days on market. They're aware of what percentage properties are selling for from the list price. And you want to know what the inventory is, because it's important when you're actually getting to the point where you put an offer in. If the inventory is really low and you think you want a really smoking good deal and you want to offer less, you might not get that property because it's a supply and demand situation. So I believe you really need to get educated, and I think communication is 90% of the real estate process. Communication and trust. You need to trust who you're working with. Every state has different laws, so it's also nice if you've not purchased a property in Colorado, just to connect with an agent to be able to see what those contracts look like before you're knee deep in a transaction and looking at it from an emotional standpoint. I really believe I like to provide my clients with blank contracts and disclosures, so they know what they're getting into and they feel a little more in control.
Well, that sounds great. It sounds like you're really taking care of your clients. So can you tell us just a little story here of what you recently did for a home buyer to help them purchase their home here?
Sure. Honestly, each client is so unique and different. It's hard to pick one. Um, but I do have one that's at the top of mind currently. It's a client that I've worked with. I've sold her 3 different homes in the last 4 years, actually 5 years. But her first home that she purchased was in 2015 with me, and I met her at an open house. She's very shy and very just very quiet, and she told me she was looking to buy a house, and she was recently divorced with 2 kids, and she was just nervous and didn't want to have to rent. So I talked with her, we got her connected with a lender, and she ended up at that point qualifying for like $180,000. And she had said a lot of people hadn't wanted to really work with her because it was so hard to find a property in that price point. We partnered up, and I told her, don't worry, we're going to make this work. We might have to go outside the Fort Collins area, but we'll find something. And, it took us some time, but we did. We found her a $150,000 townhome in Windsor. And she originally put the offer in, and it didn't get accepted, and she was put into a backup position. And so I think backup positions are underestimated, and a lot of agents don't want to put a lot of time into it, but this paid off. The first contract fell apart, and so we, being in the backup position, got to move into first position, and she got the benefit of having the home be already appraised. The home had already been through inspections, and we were able to buy the inspection from the other person. So she ended up moving in. It was a great opportunity. $150,000 is what she ended up getting in at. She then, a couple of years later, bought another house from me, sold that one, and made $40,000 in equity off of that. That's just how crazy the market's been. So she's lived there for a while, and she reached out to me just recently, maybe a month ago, and was ready to move closer to her children's schools. And we found a house, we identified it. The lender said she could buy it. We would have to sell her house. And so we started talking, and we ended up realizing that she didn't really need to sell her house if she were able to rent it out. So she had said she had always wanted to her goal was to buy an investment property, to have that as a passive income for herself and her kids. And so we sat together, the lender, her, and I, and figured out and strategized to see if this was possible. And it ended up being possible. And so it's so exciting. She's got that property rented. The renter is strategically moving in maybe, I think, 3 days after she closes on her new property. And she can buy this new home without having to sell her other one. So it just makes me super excited to help someone realize their real estate dreams, and to not just sell a house to get them into another one, to maybe sit and actually strategize with them.
What do you do to actually protect home buyers to get their home? What kinds of things do you do?
Well, I actually look at the transaction as if I was buying it myself or for one of my family members. I get really involved, sometimes probably too involved. I try to point out the potential issues that I see with a home to them. I also like to mention things that could impact the resale of the home. I play devil's advocate, I guess you would say. Often people will say they don't care about the resale and that this is my forever home. And I think that's great. I believe that happens maybe 1% of the time. In reality, we need to keep those things in mind, and it's my job to point them out. So in the process, that's one of the things I do. I also love writing contracts. I take a 4-hour, I think it's a 2-day, 4-hour contract class every year at the beginning of the year that is super in depth. I think the number one thing real estate agents should know is how to write a proper contract. It's very important. We have the ability to practice law in the state of Colorado in the form of real estate, and we should take it more seriously. That being said, I make sure that my clients, when we're writing an offer, I make sure they're protected. I make sure that if we can have the seller pay certain things, that we will. We negotiate. I look out for their best interest. I will hear people say, should we just waive the inspection? And I don't want someone else to get it, and I'm afraid there's multiple offers, we should do this. And I've had many of my offers accepted that haven't been the highest, but they've been accepted in multiple offer situations because they've been written well and they make sense, and the dates and the deadlines. So I communicate with the other agent to be able to put together the best offer for my client. I also, like I said, tell them not to waive the inspection. The inspection is their opportunity to see what that house, what they're getting into. And I also advocate that they really need to use a good home inspector. And if they're not using a professional, then they should be hiring having an HVAC person come out, a plumber or a roofer, some licensed professional to take a look at the condition of the home. And then to top all that off, as a gift and as a way to provide peace of mind, I provide a 1-year home warranty for my clients. And I have gone through and researched, and I am very discerning as to which home warranties I use. And I found a company that they have a great integrity, and they are true to their word. And they don't prorate the age of things and end up promising you one thing another, and I put that on their home. So I spend probably on average, depending if it's a townhome condo or a single family home, anywhere from $380 to $460 on a home warranty that I pay for them at closing that lasts for a year. Many of my clients have actually renewed those because they've had their furnace go out and they've been able to save thousands of dollars with that warranty, or they've had a hot water heater break, or they've just really enjoyed the comfort and the peace of mind of having that warranty. So to me, that's something I really do for all my clients, and I think it adds a peace of mind to my buyers.
Well, no wonder that home buyers find you such a delight to work with. You not only make sure they get their dream home, but you also protect them every step of the way. You make it a fun process. You make it one that they can live comfortably with when they get that house. I think that's awesome. So thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us today.
Thank you for letting me. I've really enjoyed working with you and everybody you've sent my way.